video reacting. It's like my first reaction video, but like, yeah. Go subscribe to my gaming channel though. You lit over there. But yeah, thanks for clicking on my video, and let's get into it, my guy.
I used to be a trucker and would do a lot of late night runs. I usually had my coffee to keep me going through the night, and even then it would still be tough. This night, however, I didn't have my coffee, and things...
Hey, but my fault for pausing, but I'm not good with scary videos, like, at all, so, let's see.
weren't going so well. On several occasions, I almost fell asleep behind the wheel, and I was only just barely able to save myself from completely drifting away by actually feeling the truck drifting off to the side of the road. Then, just as I thought I was regaining my awareness, I saw a black figure coming up in the road, right in the path of the truck. I swerved away to avoid the figure, and just barely missed it.
I think the animation is kind of like making it less scary, but we'll see. Let's see what we're working with.
I had to come to a complete stop to try and gather my sanity back up. I looked in the left rearview mirror. The figure was still standing in the middle of the road. I am not usually a person to confront things in any situation, but something possessed me to get out of that truck and give the person a piece of my mind. But when I got out of the truck, there was nobody there. I was seemingly the only person on this.
See, bro, right there, bro. I'm running. I'm getting straight out of there, bro. Like, ain't no way I'm staying there after that, yo. Like, that's crazy, bro. I'm getting in the car and getting on up out of there. Alright. Hey, he gone. He ain't dead. Shit,
road for miles. I took off after that, and about 5 miles down the road, I pulled over and fell asleep. I think my mind was playing tricks on me that night, but I don't know why my brain would create such an eerie image. This happened to me when I was really little. I was 7 years old, but I still remember all of it like it happened yesterday. I was sleeping over my grandma's house, like I always did when I was little. She never drove her whole life for some reason, so she would come.
Let me make sure we record it real quick. My fault, y'all. I'm gonna edit this out. Yo, to me, edit this. Start with it. Okay, I think we cool, my guy. Alright, yo.
Constantly be taking long walks everywhere. One day when I was sleeping over, she wanted to walk all the way to the library, which was like 10 blocks away. I didn't want to take that walk. I was a lazy kid. So she went off and told me not to answer the door to anyone. My grandma was the kind of person that was strict, and she didn't baby people. So it wasn't unusual for her to leave me by myself at such a young age. Sometime while I was alone, the phone rang. I, being a dumb and curious little boy, answered it. It was a man on the other end. I remember he said, "Who is this?" I said, "Danny." "Are your parents home, Danny?" I said, "No." "So you're home alone right now, Danny?" I said, "Yes." "Where are you at right now, Danny? Do you know the address?" Somewhere in Queens," I told him. "All right, Danny, bye-bye now." He hung up. I don't even remember thinking twice about it, but the story didn't end there, unfortunately. I'd say almost an hour later, a knock came at the door. I remembered what my grandma said, so I remained on the couch. "I see you on the couch, Danny." My little heart sank.
Yo, chill. Bro, if somebody ever did that, bro, they're either bro, look, I'm gonna look at you like these, like my nigga, so, and I'm gonna shoot you in your like that, like, bro, or I'm gonna have to stab you, son, bro.
He was on the porch, staring at me. He was a very creepy-looking man, all gray, ugly, and a fat beer gut. I told him to go away. "I got some candy in my truck. Come on out, Danny." I ran to the guest bedroom that I slept in and locked the door. Moments later,
I got a gun in my room.
I heard the back door being fiddled with, followed by banging and thumping as he tried to break down the door. By some miracle, I heard the loud voice of my grandmother as she yelled at him to get the hell out of the yard and that she's calling the cops. I watched the guy took off in his ratty pickup truck as my grandma tried to get the plate number. Unfortunately, she didn't remember it, but she still reported him and his vehicle to the cops. My mom never trusted my grandma to watch me again after that, but I still know that if she had arrived even 10 minutes later, God only knows what would have happened to me.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that was...
When I was 21, me and my girlfriend were upstate in my family's vacation mobile home. It was during a snowstorm and we were sitting on the couch next to the heater, snuggling and watching late night TV. We were surrounded by absolutely nothing but forest in all directions, and all that was keeping us from the outside was a wooden door that had a broken lock. While we were watching TV, my girlfriend started shaking me, telling me she heard something outside. I assured her it was most likely a deer or a bear or something, but then 5 minutes later, my girlfriend looked at me again.
See, bro, when that happens, bro, you gotta go out. You know, go like soft, bro, and all that. Can't be having none of that, my guy. So, yeah.
I heard it too. I muted the TV so we could hear it better. It sounded like someone was messing around in the little lawnmower shed outside. My car was parked outside and all the lights were on inside. If there was anybody out there, they knew we were inside. My girlfriend was urging me to go outside and check it out, but I told her she must be crazy to think that I was going out there. The sound stopped and there was nothing but the sound of the storm outside now. After a few minutes, I felt it safe to shut the inside lights and open the blinds to take a quick look outside, but it was too dark to see anything. I turned on the porch light and I was able to see a good...
Oh yeah, help me out. Comment down in the comment section my audio and all that is cool. But yeah. Yeah, I'm using OBS right now, so if y'all was wondering.
portion of the front yard outside. There were footprints in the snow. Not animal footprints. They were clearly shoe prints, and they were headed in the direction of the backyard. I went to open the curtains to the backyard window, and when I did, I felt the urge to scream, but my girlfriend did instead. Even though there were no lights in the backyard, we could see a man dressed in all black and wearing a vendetta mask facing the window. I immediately shut the blinds and told my girlfriend to go hide in the bedroom, while I grabbed my grandpa's hunting rifle out of the closet. I pushed the cinder blocks and a bunch of other heavy objects in front of the door as a barricade, shut all the blinds and lights, and went to hide with my girlfriend in the corner of the bedroom. There was a bang at the front door. He was trying to bust open the door. I don't even think he tried the knob, but it didn't matter either way. After a few futile bangs to the door, it seems the man finally gave up. I stayed up that whole night with the gun by my side while my girlfriend slept. We packed and left first thing in the morning, but the scary thing, there was a fresh set of footprints leading from the front yard window out into the woods. I haven't been up there since. I don't plan on ever going back up there.
Let me just say that sleep paralysis is one of the most horrifying things you can have. I never had these types of hallucinations before, but this night, however, I did. I was getting ready for bed and setting my alarm clock for 6 a.m. for school tomorrow. I was lying down with the light still turned on, and I was reflecting on life. For whatever reason, I looked around my room and saw something in the corner. It was the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. It was a woman staring right at me, but her arms were down to her feet, and her eyes were nothing but big black holes. And her mouth was open wider than anyone humanly could. Another thing I noticed was that I couldn't move. I could only move my eyes. I just stayed there staring at her while she stared at me. Then, she started slowly walking over to the front of my bed. She raised her arms up high and let out a horrifying scream. I closed my eyes and knew I was about to die.
Yo. This is actually kind of scaring me. Like, I usually don't really get scared when you do this, boy. Shit hit me, my God. I'm not gonna cap. It's getting to me, bro.
Then, the screaming suddenly stopped, as if a switch were turned off. I opened my eyes, ready to see what was in front of me, but there was nothing. I felt relieved and glad that she was gone. I'm not sure why my mind would create an image like that, but even though there was really no woman or scream, this was the most horrifying experience I have ever had.
It's bad. Like,
When I was 13, I woke up in the middle of the night after hearing something hit my window. The window in my room faced the street, and we didn't have a fence or anything in front. I looked over and saw a man standing outside my window. He was smiling. He didn't do anything except stand there and smile.
is that the Black Ops 1 zombie soundtrack? I fuck with you. I'm gonna leave the comment.
I wanted to scream, but couldn't for fear of what he would do. After a couple of seconds, he walked away out of sight. A few more seconds later, I heard my front door open. No mistake. It opened quietly, and you couldn't hear it unless you were awake and listening for it. After that, silence for about 1 minute. Then my bedroom door opened and the man walked into my room. I was petrified. He stood there right in front of me and just smiled. His clothes were dark and he was clean shaven. He stood there for a good minute before turning around and walking out again. I heard my front door open and close, and then nothing. I ran to my parents' room and told them what just happened, and they freaked out. They were positive they had locked the door. It was the scariest thing that's ever happened to me by far. I have no idea who he was, and I never saw him again. About 30 years ago, my mom went on a blind date. Her date took her to a restaurant, and although he was nice enough, she just wasn't into him. Not even halfway through the
Pause. Not like that. Chill.
meal, she was already thinking of ways to leave early. The waiter could tell. While my mom's date was in the restroom, the waiter approached her and asked her if she was okay. She explained that she was on a blind date and not having much fun. It turns out the waiter was just about to get off work. He offered to give her a ride home if she waited another 10 minutes. She considered it and was about to say yes when her date came back from the restroom. She gave a subtle head shake, no, to the waiter and then smiled. She and her date finished their meals and then he took her home. The next night, my mom was watching the evening news. A story comes on about a woman being raped and murdered behind a restaurant the night before. The restaurant was the one that she had been at. They showed the murderer's picture. It was the waiter.
Ben's cries of "Pika, Pikachu" filled the living room as he dodged Jamie's red lightsaber. We waited for their friends to show up as I had volunteered to chaperone the children. I was happy to avoid answering the door all night long. A Viking, Super Saiyan Goku, and a clown appeared on my front doorstep, turbocharged with energy. I complimented their costumes and shivered at Timmy's clown outfit. I fucking hate clowns. I closed up and put a bucket of candy out. I knew some kid was going to dump it into his pillowcase, but at least I tried. "Who's that?" I asked about the boy away from the rest of the herd. "That's Ryan. He's been acting kind of weird," Goku answered. Ryan's costume unnerved me the most. It looked like a genuine body bag with holes cut out for his arms, legs, and part of his face. I said hello, and he didn't acknowledge me. Bratty little shit, I thought to myself. The night passed in a blur. The boys stampeded upstairs to get ready for a night of spooky tales before bedtime, when my phone rang and an unknown number displayed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, and then listened to the message. "Hello. This is Ryan's father. Our children play together, so I wanted to let you know ahead of time so that you can prepare yourself for a talk with your kids. My boy passed away last night from a brain aneurysm." As I put the phone down, trembling, I felt a cold hand on my arm.
He said Ryan was acting weird. What? Damn, who was that? Alright, but anyways, yo, thank you for watching, and subscribe and like the video for real, bro. I'm really I'm finna upload like every day, bro. I'm finna spam y'all some videos, cause I really do like reacting to videos. So yeah. Alright, and yeah, catch y'all in the next one. Peace.